we've got to redefine some things. And the one thing that we need to redefine is what this aging thing looks like. We have some very old and antiquated perspectives around aging, and it starts with what looks like the glory days, and then a long, slow demise till death. Does that make sense? No, that's not how it works. We got to change that. We used to do this thing that we called live like an adult gorilla. And this is what happens to an adult gorilla. It's born and it grows up very quickly. Bam! All of a sudden it's an adult gorilla. Then it has this long life. You see how it's parallel there? That's life. And it's the same when he's 30 as it is when he's 70, and then 80. And then at the very end of his life, he goes, and it takes about 2 weeks, and he walks away and he dies. Boom. So the death part is 2 weeks, not 40 years. See the difference? That's what we've got to change. I got clients now. I can think of two in particular. One of them is 78, and he can absolutely kick my butt at pretty much everything. He's always been consistent. He's always been an exerciser, but he's 78 years old, and he has absolutely the same functionality that he's always had. In fact, it's better because he's still working on it. The thing that people don't believe, they think that there's this thing called cognitive decline, and there's this thing called loss of lean mass, and there's this thing called loss of bone density. And people believe, and it's because of this attitude, that just happens naturally. But what we're learning and what we really know is to be true is that this adult gorilla idea is very possible. All it takes is maintenance. All it takes is sustenance, sustaining continuous workloads that aren't excessive. You know, Tom's never been somebody who works out like all the time, but he's always been very consistent at it. And then he's got me as a trainer. And because he sees the importance of maintaining that lean mass. If you ask a doctor what aging is, Soma, what's aging? Soma will say loss of lean mass, loss of bone density, and cognitive decline. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it with the people who are actually making efforts to maintain it. Whenever you lift weights, the muscles pull against the tendons pull against the bones harden. So there's no such thing as losing bone density. When you lift weights, obviously the lean mass increases. They say aging is a loss of lean mass. So as long as you're exercising and maintaining through some strength training and some resistance training, you can maintain that. Now the other thing is cognitive decline. And cognitive decline is basically we think that we lose our coordination. But basically what's happening to people who lose their cognitive decline is they're not practicing. It comes down to what you practice. And practicing is something that, especially now that we know so much about what to practice, this is what TLC is all about, is we found some logical, progressive, and basic page one in the book of Duh things that when you hear them, they're like, well, that makes a lot of sense, but you didn't know in the first place. This is what happens is when somebody makes something seem simple, then things become easy. That's what we're able to do now. So we've got these far-reaching benefits from very well thought out progressive routines. Once you get yourself up to maintenance, it's easy to do. The thing that I'm also recognizing is no matter when somebody comes in, it's not too late to make progress. Your body has trillions and trillions of cells, and your cells are not something that you have for a long time. It's not like you have the same cells this year as you had last year. You don't even have the same cells right now as you had 5 weeks ago. So we're always in a process of reinventing ourselves, and this is something that you have to have. Our bodies are much more like a flowing river than like a solid object that we're just destined to be, you know. So as soon as you change your habits, you know, you can change your physiology. You can make things better by just having what we call wholesome disciplines that are basically very functional and fantastic ways of spending your time. So the thing that I really want to emphasize is that no matter how old you think you are, it's not too late to learn how to move your body. It's not too late to learn how to eat what's actually nourishing to your body, and it's not too late to change your relationship with your mind and the way that it works for you. We have a lot of new role models in the people who are doing a great job at how they're aging. And it's changing all the rules about what's going on. My other client is 88 years old, and he's unbelievably fit and unbelievably strong. The nice thing that happens as people age is their lives change. Their lives change because they're not raising kids, they're not working, so they have more potential for consistency than any other time in their lives. I've been teaching seniors classes for years, and what I've noticed more than anything is they are by far the most consistent group I've ever worked with, and it's because life changes as time goes on. You cannot have a life like this if you're doing that. and that's what I'm seeing with these people. They're actually able to do everything they could in their 60s when they're in their late 80s, for goodness sakes. And TLC presents itself in such a way that these actionable behaviors are quite simple and quite easy to integrate into your life. So I'd really welcome you to change your scope on what it means to age.